Good day to everyone. I am deeply honored to be part again of this journey of creating empowering opportunities and transformative new perspective in the field of philanthropy. I am extending my congratulations to the entire SRG family for having this 8th APDC in Bangkok. I was given 30 minutes to present my case and expound this very beautiful topic assigned to me, which is faith in giving, a core in giving capital towards impact. I will not waste any time, but proceed immediately to the 4 points of my discussion. However, allow me to use this tragic reality currently happening in the context of global politics that is affecting everyone economically, morally, and spiritually. I am referring to the 10th-month-old war in Gaza. Please forgive me to open my presentation from the negative side of the effect of faith in giving. This is intentional on my part, precisely because I want to make sure that the participants of this conference be reminded of the varied implications of the crucial element of faith in our philanthropic work. Obviously, philanthropic initiatives and programs helped better humanity, but it is also used to advance certain agenda detrimental to the welfare and development of our civilization. The war in Gaza is sustained or prolonged because of giving, maybe for geopolitical reasons, but certainly for faith-driven motivations. The Hamas received funding, armaments, ammunitions from Iran and other sponsoring states sympathetic to the plight of the Muslim people in the Gaza Strait, suffering from the so-called illegal occupation, or some even called it apartheid. In their view, it is their moral and religious duty as brothers and sisters in faith to help them and provide what is necessary to sustain the path of resistance. On the other side of the party, Israel is supported by the military might of the Western power, led by the United States. A few months ago, it received billions of donations, ostensibly to protect democracy with religious underpinnings. This conflict has shown a very clear demarcation line that demonstrates the religious conviction or faith orientation of the opposing parties. In the process, Gaza becomes the battlefield of the conflicting powers, fueled by geopolitical and religious stimuli. In this murky scenario, the act of giving is the one driving or prolonging the war at the expense of so many civilians suffering in ways beyond our imagination. Those collective supporters to both parties would have taken a more honorable path of helping the ultimate victims of war. However, they choose feeding the war machine of the warring parties. In other words, their version of charity in giving support to either party is actually flaming the fire and bringing the people and the whole region into the quagmire of uncertainty and destruction. This is a lesson we need to integrate in our narrative that misguided faith based charities could claim thousands of lives, mostly children. The second point I wish to highlight is the role of international organizations based on religious values, culture, tradition, and even faith, but not currently church affiliated entity. I am talking about the Red Cross and Red Crescent organizations. In their long history of service to humanity, they have saved millions of people by way of providing much needed blood, especially in war torn countries. Now, they have evolved into a very complex and diverse organization, but continue to honor their long tradition of helping humanity, especially the victims of war and social injustice, in terms of medical needs, restoring links between dispersed family members, maintaining dignity of persons deprived of liberty, and promoting international
When I
humanitarian
tell
laws,
people I work for the
especially
ICRC,
in
they
the
often look at me a
midst
bit blankly.
of wars.
You know, I say, Red Cross, Red Crescent. Oh, they say, are you a doctor? No, I tell them, I'm not a doctor. We do have doctors and nurses, although that's just one part of what we do. So what do you do? They ask. Well, have you heard of the Geneva Conventions? Of course, said one guy. But what does it mean in real terms? And I thought for a minute and then I said, it means that whenever there's an armed conflict, we can be there to help. It means that the people who've had to flee their homes because of fighting can have access to clean, drinkable water and food. It means that children who were separated from their families in conflict areas can be reunited with them again. It means that, when visiting detainees, we try to ensure they are kept according to international standards, with dignity and without fear of ill treatment. And how do you do all that? He asked. Well, my more than 13,000 colleagues operate in more than 80 countries around the world. But we don't do it alone. We work together with the national societies of the Red Cross and Red Crescent. Our activities can take us deep into urban centers or out to remote rural areas. Our impartiality, independence, and neutrality allow us to touch upon highly sensitive topics. Much of this work we actually do in peacetime. But then, armed conflict creates so many new kinds of needs, many of them not immediately visible, such as for psychosocial support, protection against sexual violence, or education on the dangers of anti-personnel mines. We work together with the people we assist, helping them improve their own livelihoods. So whatever their past, they have a future to look forward to. That is humanity in action.
The donors, supporters, and enablers of this kind of aid organization are driven by their deep love for humanity and a sincere expression of their religious commitment to do something good for others, regardless of color, education, tribe, and religious affiliation. The charity comes from the very core of their desire to praise, worship, and demonstrate gratitude towards the divine, the provider of what they have. Hence, the driving engine of this philanthropic based support for humanity is their faith that is obviously manifested by the identification found in their name, the cross and the crescent. The third point I wish to share is about the role of religious orders, congregations, and other churches affiliating themselves in the umbrella of the United Nations as non-government organizations. We are quite aware that one of the main sources of religious congregational funds is coming from their faithful who believed and shared the values of their mission and apostolate. The financial support given by their members and devotees are the reasons why these church-based charities are sustaining for centuries. But they elevate their way of doing things by aligning themselves under the standard and affiliation of the United Nations. These groups are helping the different UN agencies implement global policies and sustainable development goals in their area of mission, covering 6 continents in the world. In addition, these congregations and churches are at the front line of helping the global problems facing humanity and the environment based on their charism and apostolate. I find it very impactful and transformative because these organizations are visibly and concretely present in all corners of the world, face to face with real struggles of people and community who are confronting problems that might be too remote from international and national agencies. They say they serve as the arms and the feet of the international and national institutions in the implementation of social interventions and the much needed rural and even urban development. They become the bridge so that the available financial capital, charities, and investments can create the desired impact for the greatest number of beneficiaries in the periphery. The last point that I would like to offer is specifically addressed to the members of our PDO ecosystem, particularly from the congregations. One of the main apostolate of religious group is in the educational field. Please allow me to focus on this area and let us try to apply this one in our varied missions. For centuries, we educate millions of people and we help in the process of nation building in the countries where we are present and actively working. However, for the past years, we come to realize that the education sector and government policies are creating a very challenging situation for schools run by the church organizations to survive and to compete with their state-funded counterpart. I believe this direction will continue, especially for the fact that even big private corporations are joining in the fray, like SM Company, Lucio Tan Group, Attorney Goan Family, and many others who are diversifying their businesses and venturing into the industry of providing education. Having said the ongoing crisis that we are collectively facing as a private, Catholic, and Christian educators, I wish to bring to your attention the possibility of investing or aligning our educational mission into the field of circular economy. It is an economic system based on the reuse and regeneration of materials or products, especially as a means of continuing production in a sustainable or environmentally friendly way. The notion of a circular economy has gained traction, with
So here
many
at Escop
companies
Penrose, we
looking
try
to
to provide
operate
authentic learning
in a
experiences for
way
our
which
children. So at the
minimizes
start of the year, we were lucky
waste.
enough to get involved with Cardiff University and their Farmer Bees project. So in July, we had a colony of bees arrive at Escop Penrose. In September, we trained up around 20 members of staff and children to look after the bees. The children can see up close bees being born, bees making honey, and doing all of the other jobs around the hive. And that's not on a YouTube video or in a book, that's in real life. So when you talk about authentic learning, I don't think you can get much better than that. We've also been involved with the Our Classroom Climate project. So at the start of the year, our children were really conscious about climate change and the impact carbon dioxide is having on our planet. So when they found out that algae absorbs carbon dioxide, they decided they wanted to grow it in class. So we're growing algae in our classrooms, so it's effectively, we effectively have small forests in our class, trying to offset some of the carbon footprint that we are offsetting as a school. So our children are aware of CO2 levels, how high CO2 levels can affect their learning. They know in class when the CO2 levels get above 1,000 parts per million, it starts to affect their learning. So getting involved with these projects has been a brilliant opportunity to provide them with an authentic learning experience which they wanted to learn about.
So as part of the Circular Economy project, we've been teaching the children where food comes from and how it gets onto their plates. So we've put in growing beds and the children have been planting and growing. They'll be cooking food using the veg that they've grown. So the children are vital to that. So the children have been organising swap shops, and we're trying to embed that message that new isn't better. Sometimes it's better to make the choice to reuse something to help the environment. Particularly with school uniform, there's that conception that to be a good parent you have to buy a new uniform, whereas if you're reusing it, you're actually helping the environment, and we're using the children to help demonstrate that you'll actually save money through doing that as well. The same with our toy swap shop. Children are really enthusiastic about getting new toys and they don't care if it's second hand or not, they want to play with it. So we had all of the children down in the Cutch swapping toys and they went down a storm. So we've also got a community library down there where people donate books. It's not a library in the sense that they have to return them. If they like the book, they can keep it. But if they have any spare books, they come and donate them into the library. Our reading champions in school then look after that library, organise it and sort it, and make sure that there's a wide choice of books there.
So my name's Louise Morgan. I work with the school improvement team in Carmarthenshire. So within the cake programme, I was able to talk about a model that we've sort of begun in Carmarthenshire as part of our Walk the Global Walk programme, where we've created a manifesto with our young people, which is a climate action manifesto, and within that we action our 8-point action plan, which is supported by executive board members. I shared this model at the cake networking events, and I think it's something that is quite unique to Carmarthenshire at this point, but I know it's something that other local authorities are eager to take on board. So the networking opportunity, the collaborative platform was really important.
So my name's Catherine Morris and I work on the Big Box Bwyd project in our school at Ysgol Bro Banw. So the children come out and learn how to grow food. This year we've got potatoes, we've got herbs, raspberries growing, lovely peas and broad beans. We've got plenty of squashes coming up now and courgettes. The children absolutely love harvesting the vegetables, eating the vegetables, but also having the responsibility and the freedom to prepare the vegetables. So we teach them some basic knife skills, but yeah, they're really confident in doing that. And they really love chopping things up and cooking things, and just the fact that they're involved with creating the dish and seeing where the food comes from, tasting things as they come out of the ground. Mostly, you know, they really enjoy eating the food then. So the idea is that the children will be learning to cook, and then that food will be available then for families at the end of the school day as a hot meal or as a takeaway meal, and then we could also make it available through the shop or take it out to the community to like family centres. So really, you know, connecting the community through food.
This new way of treating our varied resources needed for the operation of our schools and universities could be in itself an innovative platform for a new brand of education that we can offer. I know it might sound weird and out of the box thinking, but I would say that it is what is needed in our world today. People and organizations need to reinvent themselves in order to respond more fully and resiliently to the pressing challenges of the time, especially human degradation and environmental destruction. Allowing our institutions and apostolates to be devoid of this new paradigm is the surest way to go to the sphere of irrelevance and oblivion. I believe there is a merit if we start to think of how we can inject the concept of circular economy in the life of our educational apostolate. Please revisit your supply chain, the economic process attached to your educational apostolate. There are layers and layers of businesses behind our annual operation in our schools. I am confident that if we can take a serious re-evaluation using the lens of circular economy, it might generate so much potential in terms of strengthening our mission or charity in order to be more responsive, resilient, and expand our base for new and innovative financial resources. Consider the areas of reducing our waste output by integrating Material Recovery Facility or MRF. Energy generation through solar panel within the campus. Creation of a viable source of water through the installation of water catchments. And engaging local farmers in the community that are advocating organic methods. And orienting our school constituency to be part of the farmers cooperative to help boost local economy by empowering them to locally produce what we need in the school, like food supplies, school uniforms, and disposal of biodegradable waste that might be needed in their farm operation, and a lot more. I believe this is the most practical connection I can think of to create a sustainable and transformative impact in our apostolate, such as school, but can be implemented as well in our parishes and seminary. This is also the truest expression of the topic, faith in giving, a core in giving capital towards impact. Absolutely, there is an impact out of this. In other words, putting our own investment or money where our mouth is. As religious and church-based organization managing educational apostolate, we need to be at the front line rather than to stay at the back seat and embrace the attitude of wait and see. Pope Francis is taking the lead and reminding us, together with the global community, of our responsibility to listen to the cry of the poor and the cry of the earth by becoming attentive to the 7 goals of his landmark encyclical Laudato Si and the long-standing mandate of our church's social teaching. By doing this, we can clearly reassess the manner we make our investments fully conscious and responsible that these resources are mostly generated from the donations and tithes of ordinary people in our church and community. We need to be very clear that at the end of the day, our bottom line should be the kind of people who are most vulnerable in our society. This should be the natural result of giving that is based on faith and religious values. A giving that prolongs war, a giving that enriches only our own congregational bank accounts, a giving that ensures our comfortable lifestyle as religious, fundraisers, or school administrators, a giving that prioritizes institutional survival more than humanity is not giving at all. It has no semblance of charity. It is simply called full-blooded transaction that is devoid of the real essence of philanthropy, which is the love for humanity. Thank you so much, and in Deum.